Welcome. Welcome to this special session with Eckhart Tolle. My name's Tammy Simon. I'm the founder of Sounds True. And in this session, I'm going to be bringing forward some questions to Eckhart about a topic that has become increasingly popular over the years, while also becoming a source of some confusion, uncertainty, and even frustration for many of us. The topic is manifestation, and in this session, we'll hear from Eckhart about his unique approach, what he calls conscious manifestation. We'll also hear why this topic is of importance to Eckhart at this time, why he's so interested in teaching on conscious manifestation. Before we begin, I'd like to remind all of our listeners that this teaching session is part of a much larger exploration that Eckhart will be leading in a new program that's called the Spiritual Guide to Conscious Manifestation. The program starts on May 30th with a 4-day online retreat that will also be streamed, and then is followed by an all-new 4-month at-home curriculum that's being co-taught by Kim Eng. If this sounds like an opportunity you'd be interested in, please stay tuned for more information at the end of our session with Eckhart. And please also know that our goal is to reach as many people as possible with this new program, and that there's a generous scholarship fund that's available as well, because we want to make sure that all of the people that are interested in a spiritual guide to conscious manifestation can attend. And now it is a true honor to bring forward the renowned author of The Power of Now and a New Earth, Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart, welcome.
Thank you, Tammy, and hello to everybody, wherever you are in this present moment.
Are you ready, Eckhart, for our first question?
I suppose I'm ready, yes.
We're always ready. Here we go. I've heard different things about manifesting, and I'm curious to know what Eckhart's approach is and what makes it a spiritual approach versus other kinds of approaches.
Thank you. Perhaps the conventional approach to manifestation, before I go into that, we could talk of manifestation, conscious manifestation, and spiritually conscious manifestation. That's a temporary division. Manifestation happens continuously, whether you're aware of it or not. It simply means that there's a correlation between your state of consciousness, which we may also call vibrational frequency, and the way in which you experience reality or the world. There's a correlation between your reality, your world, and your state of consciousness. That is undoubtedly true. Now, for most humans are still not aware of that. They believe that the world they find themselves in, their reality, is a totally separate thing from their inner being. So they've been put into this reality. Everybody is born into a particular set of circumstances, and then humans grow up and they become conditioned. In some way, they're already conditioned when they are born, although there is a belief that every baby is a blank slate, but that is not entirely true at all. Every baby already comes into this world with a certain baggage, which in Eastern terminology we could call karma. It obviously, the baby is not a blank slate. Even if you don't believe in karma, you can see that genetic, your genes play a particular role as far as the person that you become is concerned. Your genes have a lot to do with it. Even the time you spent in the womb of your mother already is a form of conditioning. And we all know if a mother indulges in alcohol, that can negatively affect the life of the fetus and the embryo, and then has negative effects for the rest of his or her life. Certainly, there are two factors when you look at external circumstances. There's the conventional expression of nurture and nature. Nurture and nature. That means nature means who or what you are is your conditioning, and nurture is the external circumstances of your life that contribute to who you become as a human being, the world you're born into. And so we all get conditioned in particular way through our upbringing, and I would suggest even we're already conditioned through past lifetimes and the emotional state of our mother even before we were born, etc., etc. So everybody comes into life with a particular set of mental emotional conditioning, and this mental emotional conditioning determines how you perceive the world. It determines the way in which you respond or react to the circumstances of your life, what you say, etc. So you manifest your life unconsciously through the mental emotional conditioning that you are born into. And there's no freedom in that. You don't really have a choice, because in that state there's a lack of awareness. So you do not realize that you perpetuate the circumstances of your life according to your conditioning. So often you find that the same dysfunction that were already manifested in the parent's life and the grandparent's life are then repeated and perpetuated in the child's life. And then that child has children, and the similar dysfunctions operate again because you inherit them. And there's the conditioning of your thinking mind that you identify with when you're trapped in the egoic consciousness determines how you respond, or rather react, to what's going on around you in your life. And you can see with very unconscious people, they always blame the circumstances of their life for what's wrong. It's always somebody else's fault that there's something not right in my life. There's always somebody else to blame, whether it's actual human beings or fate or God or the politicians or the social conditions. I'm not denying that social conditions often are an important factor, but people then put all the blame outside. They never look within into their own conditioning. And so they manifest the circumstances of their life unconsciously, often in a very negative way, because that's all ego. This unconscious identification with the mental emotional conditioning is ego. And so they manifest from their ego. They react to circumstances, and let's say something challenging or negative happens to you, a person or whatever it may be, and you react in the same old way. And by reacting against something challenging, you amplify it through your reaction. You can see it when you react to an unpleasant or unconscious person. If you react, you amplify his or her unconsciousness, and you even amplify your own unconsciousness through your reaction. If you react to difficult circumstances in your life, like lack of money, unpleasant living situation, problematic relationships, if you react against the circumstances of your life, which always manifest in the present moment, you amplify those circumstances through your reaction. And so people don't realize that, so they become trapped in a vicious circle. Something negative happens, and they react negatively and amplify that thing and make it even worse. And that then becomes a confirmation that they have always been right, that in assuming that the world is doing it to me. So you become the victim of the world in your own perception. You become the victim of other people, you're the victim of the world, you're complaining constantly. And by doing that, you perpetuate all those things that are happening to you. And not only that, you amplify them. That's karma. You're experiencing the you're manifesting through your karma and create new karma. You make other people unhappy, you're already unhappy, you make more people unhappy. You create new karma in Eastern terms, that is karma. So everybody's manifesting without knowing it. Then a moment comes when you become conscious of the conditioning of your mind and emotions, your mental emotional conditioning. And you realize that it is possible for you to some extent step out of the conditioning of your mental emotional field. And this means awareness has arisen in you, a vital part of awakening. You begin to become aware of your own conditioning. And then some freedom comes in, choice comes in, the possibility of choosing when you become conscious in certain situations, that you no longer need to react in the old conditioned way. You become conscious also of what your mind is doing. What is the self-talk that everybody lives with, the voice in the head? What kind of self-talk are you experiencing in your mind? Is it very negative? What is it? What is the running commentary in your mind when you go through your life every day? What is it saying about circumstances and people that you encounter every day? What is that? And suddenly you become aware of that running commentary, the voice in the head. And that awareness is the beginning of your awakening. And when the awareness arises, you can begin by changing dysfunctional mind patterns as you discover them. For example, you may discover that you do a lot of mental complaining, both internally and externally, about other people and situations. There's always something to complain about. And suddenly you become aware of it. And that awareness gives you some certain degree of freedom. And you can then detect the pattern and say, you let go of that. And instead, you can welcome circumstances as they arise, instead of treating every circumstance that arises and every challenge as an enemy. You can begin to welcome it That's the beginning of conscious manifestation. So you realize there is an important correlation between what your inner being and your outer circumstance. And then slowly you realize, as you change the way in which you respond to situations, the situations also begin to change. And that's at first in a very subtle way. That first, I realized that first time in my life when I was 17 years old. Somebody left some books with us, and for the first time I read about that there is your state of consciousness and your life experience are linked. And that was my first awakening. It wasn't the deepest awakening yet, but it was an awakening. And then you can begin to consciously manifest by making positive statements instead of negative statements, by manifesting gratitude towards whatever arises in the present moment, appreciation and gratitude instead of complaining. And then things actually improve slowly. You notice a definite change. You let go of the patterns of resistance, which are usually linked to the egoic consciousness, and gradually you experience positive change in your life. And so that's already the beginning of conscious manifestation. So when you look at conscious manifestation in conventional terms, the assumption is that you realize that you can bring about circumstances, more positive circumstances in your life. And the assumption is that the goal is to that when you can get what you want, and when you get what you want, that will be the fulfillment of your life. The satisfying fulfillment of your life is getting what you want. That's often the assumption behind conventional ways of manifesting. That, however, has certain limitations, because even if you become very good at getting what you want, you will find at some point that even that is not ultimately satisfying. You will find no matter what you get and what you achieve, whatever new set of circumstances arise in your life, you will find there too it is not, in the long term, not ultimately fulfilling. There's always still something missing, and often the wonderful thing that you manifested can easily turn around and create suffering again, turn into its opposite. I've met many people who were able to manifest great fame and wealth. I've met quite a few of those people. And so they were poor, then they manifested. One person I know wrote himself a check, a fictitious bank check with $10 million with his name on, put it in his wallet, and every time he took out his wallet, he saw the check written to himself. He didn't have any money, written to himself, $10 million. And for, I don't know how long, 3 years, 4 years, every day he saw this check of $10 million. And 4 years or so later, he received a check for $10 million. Well, he happened to be an actor, and a good one. So there we need to look into that also. But that's how it worked. And the next stage of the story is great success, and then in the midst of this person's successful story, in the midst of the mansion that he then lived in, deep depression overcame him. Periods of despair and depression and darkness. How is that possible? He got what he wanted. And that's not an isolated case. That is very common. So getting what you want is not the ultimate aim. It will not be the ultimate fulfillment. It can be a byproduct of something deeper. A byproduct of something deeper. And this something deeper is realizing that in life there are two dimensions. There's the dimension of doing and activity and action, and there's the dimension of being and doing. If there's only doing in your life, and manifesting has a lot to do with doing, because it's to do with the first doing is having a thought. That's already a doing. You create a thought, and then the thought, if done rightly, may create an external reality. But it still operates in the realm of doing. That's fine. We need to do here, but we are also here to awaken to a deeper dimension of who we are. We are here to awaken to the dimension of being. And the foundation then for whatever you do in your manifestation practice, the foundation is not something that you create at some future point. The foundation is going more deeply into being. It is the realization of being. And that only can be realized in the present moment. As your mind becomes still and you realize of the presence within you, you could call it the consciousness, the light of consciousness. You realize that you are. There's suddenly a depth that you discover within yourself. And that is the depth of being. And that is true spiritual awakening. It's realizing the essence of who you are, which is not the person. The person is here to do things, but there's something deeper, the source of what you are. And that's being. So you realize your own beingness. I am. In that moment of stillness, you realize that the beingness of you, without any thought nor reference to your personal history, there's only the realization that when you forget about who or what you are as a person, when you forget about your age and your gender and your problems, what is left? Forget about all that. What is left of you without that? There's only this moment. And you realize that there's something essential that's left, and that's the sense of beingness, of being. I am. That is the realization of being, and that becomes the foundation for everything. Once you are rooted in that, from there you can manifest, but it is whatever you manifest in your life, it will come from a deeper level, from that realization of being rather than from egoic consciousness. Because the only way to transcend ego is to discover that which is beyond the mental emotional entity that you usually call yourself, that you think you are. The only way to transcending ego is go to that deeper place within yourself. Then that deeper place has there's a vast intelligence in that depth of being that is connected to universal intelligence, not your personal intelligence. There's a vast intelligence, and that intelligence can use your mind. It can flow into your mind. And through that, this intelligence can then create and manifest in your life whatever it wishes to create. That in order to bring more goodness, more harmony, more love, more abundance into this world, it can create through you and use your mind. And that is spiritual, that is what is spiritual way of manifesting, no longer from ego, but from the deeper level of being. And so that's, one could say that then whatever it is that you create in your life, what you manifest in your life, is always a byproduct of something deeper. It's always, whatever circumstances arise in your life, they are important, but not absolutely important. They are relatively important. And all these things, your health, your financial situation, your relationship, whatever you do for work, activities, they're all important, relatively important, but not absolutely important. But only one thing is absolutely important, and that is your connectedness with being and the realization of being, to be rooted in that deeper level of who you are. And so the ability to manifest even is not the ultimate spiritual realization. It is a lovely thing, and for many people it's an important thing in here, as because you live in two dimensions. You live in the dimension of this world of doing, activity, thinking, doing, but you are also connected to the transcendent dimension, that spirit, the spiritual dimension. Now, that connectedness with the spiritual dimension is the most vitally important thing in your life. All you need is discover that. Then if you have enough time, then from there you can manifest. I'm saying if you have enough time, because it could be that you discover that dimension when you're 80 years old, or maybe you are very ill and you discover it just a month before you die. There's not much time to manifest anything externally, and it's no longer necessary for you in those circumstances. But the most vital thing, however, has already happened. It's the realization of being. So manifestation is important, but not absolutely important. They go together, the being and the doing. But the rootedness in being is the foundation for spiritual manifestation. So always go back to being. So whenever you begin to use affirmations or visualizations of what you want in your life, go into stillness first. Connect with that, the depth of stillness within yourself. Become aware of yourself as the being rather than the person, the presence, here and now. So that all power resides in the present moment, because that is, you access the power of the present moment. From there, you can manifest. And that we could call spiritual manifestation. And what it is that you want to manifest from that level also will no longer be egoically motivated, It comes from a deeper place. So I could talk about that for a long time, but it's vital to realize where the power actually lies. The power lies in the presence, in the present moment. The point of power is always in the present moment, but the present moment is ultimately the essence of who or what you are. And so that's the most vital thing in your life, is that realization. And then from that then changes the entire frequency, the vibrational frequency of your entire being changes. And even if you never used any affirmation, you would still manifest certain life situations and circumstances around you because of your vibrational frequency. Even if you did not have, if you did not have any desire to manifest anything in particular, you would still manifest a reality around you that corresponds in whatever way to the vibrational frequency of your being. So you're always manifesting, even if you're not really interested in manifesting. The vibrational frequency of your being will still determine the way in which you experience this world, your reality. So this is a very deep thing. One can talk about it for a long time. I've already spoken for too long. Let's go on to the next question. They're all connected anyway.
The next question, Eckhart, is why is teaching on conscious manifestation at this particular time important and relevant for you?
Yes. Now, we're living in a very interesting time. Interesting is we are moving into a time of collectively of, I would say, turmoil, perhaps even chaos. There is always in the world, on every level, there's always the play between order and chaos. There are periods of dissolution, things breaking apart, and there are periods of time when things come together again. So one could say, well, isn't this a particularly difficult time if you want to manifest something growing, something new coming into this world, but the collective around you is manifesting dissolution and chaos and decay? Well, it's doubly important in these circumstances to pay particular attention to what I just called the vibrational frequency of your being, because there is a gravitational pull around you in the collective towards unconsciousness, because that is many people, when things begin to fall apart, in many people's lives that manifests as their level of consciousness goes down. They become very reactive. There's conflict between groups of people, enemies, within countries, even not just one country against other countries. Even within countries, there is and will be increasing turmoil, and there's a gravitational pull of that could draw you into unconsciousness also. So you need to stay awake, and then you manifest your contribution could be very important, so that you manifest to a greater or lesser degree a certain field of light around you, so that you don't get drawn into the collective darkness that's descending. So there is, even if you don't manifest anything in particular, although you may do, you are connected with the depths of being or presence, and that too not only protects you to a great extent, it protects you, but it also alleviates the effects of the surrounding unconsciousness. It counteracts the collective unconsciousness. So if a sufficient number of humans are able to stay conscious, that will also manifest in their outer environment. And perhaps the chaos will not be as extreme as it would otherwise have been, because your state of consciousness affects the world. It's a correlation between your state of consciousness and the surrounding, your surrounding reality. So it's at this particular time, it's very important to stay conscious, and then if you stay conscious, that will have a certain effect on the world. So it becomes a manifestation of what happens around you, whether perhaps where you live will be less affected by the turmoil that's coming, or if it does touch you, if the turmoil does come to you and touch you from the external, internally you will still be free. Internally you will be at peace, even if it does come. There is a transcendent dimension within you that you're aware of, and nobody can predict how or to what degree the turmoil in this world will affect you. But what we do know is your vibrational frequency is of utmost importance here, not only for yourself, but also for the totality. Let's say as many humans as possible, if they stay conscious, not being drawn into the collective unconsciousness, which manifests everywhere, even on the internet and social media, it's everywhere, the collective. Don't get drawn into that. Stay conscious so that you manifest a more conscious world, even though the totality around you may be drawn into deep unconsciousness and turmoil. So and another important thing is, it is at a time of collective, whether individual or collective suffering, because that's another, when this turmoil comes, brings about suffering for humans. It's a time of suffering that the possibility arises for more humans to awaken out of their egoic consciousness. Many will be drawn into unconsciousness, yes. But for others, the possibility arises of awakening out of the egoic through the suffering. Suffering is the great awakener. Suffering can make you more unconscious. Often it is the case. Suffering can also awaken you. The ultimate purpose of suffering is to awaken. Doesn't always happen. You may have to wait another lifetime and another, and suffer more and more and more, and finally it happens. Or it could happen in this lifetime that the suffering comes and it brings about an awakening. I've met countless people who have only become interested in awakening, well, not interested in, have come to realize that what this is about is extremely important because they have suffered. And this brings me to another point connected with manifestation. Sometimes you don't get always what you want to manifest. Now, there can be, I think we may have another question about that, but let me already say this. Sometimes people say, why I'm trying to manifest and it's not working, I'm not getting it. Well, there can be various reasons for that. I may go into these reasons a bit later. But one reason can be that, let's say, I met somebody years ago who told me the story. She wanted to help people through spiritual teaching. And she'd read many books and been to many workshops. And she knew all the basics about spirituality, and she wanted to manifest being a teacher and helping many people, and money was coming in also, all abundance was manifesting as she was helping more and more people, but it wasn't happening. Nobody came, very few people came, and but it's not. And then not only that, then very bad things happened. She fell ill. She developed a potentially a life-threatening illness. She lost her job and her home. Everything was collapsing. A total opposite of successful manifestation. Everything was collapsing around her, but she just managed to survive that illness. But in the process of losing many things, even a possible approaching early death, a deepening happened within her. A deepening happened. The ego dissolved, and when she realized she might die, she had a serious illness, something happened within her, and she realized the depths of the being of the presence within through surrender. And suddenly she realized she became healed, and suddenly she realized that the best thing that ever happened to her was losing all that, her home and her job and being ill, because that brought about the deepening. And then she became a true spiritual teacher. So she didn't get what she wanted because there was something deeper that was necessary to happen. And so that can be the case. Perhaps what you want is not ultimately what it is that you need. And so sometimes when you are not able to manifest, that may be the reason that the universal intelligence knows more than your limited intelligence, or you may have some connectedness, but not enough to know what it is that you need, and you would never want to manifest anything negative, nor do you need to. But when it does happen, use that to go deeper. When a period of turmoil happens in your life, a period of suffering, use that to go deeper, live in acceptance with the present moment, and then you emerge again, and then your powers will be greatly enhanced, their powers of manifestation, because they will come from a deeper place. So it's a very complex matter. I believe we may have a question, Tammy, about people not succeeding and wondering why it's not happening. Is that right?
That's exactly right. People say things like, I've done everything I was supposed to do, and still things haven't turned out the way that I hoped they would. Various aspects of my life continue to be really hard. I'm disappointed and frustrated, and I'm not sure conscious manifestation works, or at least it doesn't seem to be working for me.
Yes, that's not uncommon to hear that. There are many possible reasons. I just mentioned one. You need to suffer a bit more for a deepening to happen, but realize if that is the case, make sure that the suffering does not make you unconscious through reactivity and resistance, so that whatever challenge arises in your life, you're able to use it to go deeper. But there can be many other reasons why it's not working for you. For example, you're not doing it right. That's one. You're not doing it right. You are not fully, there's not enough energy flowing into it, or you're confusing energy that flows into your manifestation. You're confusing it with willpower. Willpower is wanting to make something happen, and that is counterproductive. That is not how true manifestation works. Now, willpower is something that in some cases it can work, but then it works for other reasons. And willpower, when you create something through sheer willpower, force rather than power, I would call it force. But what we call willpower is that, let's say you want abundance in your life. I'm going to make it happen. Abundance. I have great. Let's say, yeah, okay. You already know that you should use the present tense rather than the future tense for manifestation practice, for affirmations. Never the future tense. Okay. By the way, if you ever use the future tense, I am going to be successful in this. I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to be living in a nice place. Whatever it is, that never works because you put it into the future, then it remains in the future. Every affirmation needs to be in the present tense. As Jesus already said, when you ask for something, when you pray for something, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. Believe that you have received it, he said, and it will be yours, which means he did not say, believe that you will receive it. Jesus said, believe that you have received it. So that's a little secret for manifestation, is to feel that it is already a reality in your life. You visualize it but that feeling of fullness comes from the depths of being. So whatever it is that you want to manifest externally, the feeling of already having it comes from the connectedness with being, because being is the I sometimes call it, it's a strange analogy, that's the cream, but whatever, the rest is the skimmed milk that is part of that. So you connect with the essence of it all, the essence of all life. And then you bring a visual image, or also a verbal affirmation, and or a visual image. And at the same time, you feel the power of presence within you. You feel that. And then you bring two together. And there you have it. It's a reality already. And so you're manifesting from the fullness of being, not wanting something to happen, pushing and wanting. No, you are not doing it. You're simply putting it out so that the universal intelligence can bring it about. It's not you are not doing it. So willpower could be an obstacle if you think you need willpower. That's not it. In fact, you need, intensity. Yes, intensity. Energy. There is an energy behind your manifestation practice, but it's not willpower. There's no force. It's a relaxed energy that flows. And you feel the fullness of being is a lovely expression. Jesus, by the way, also used that expression. He said, I want you to have the fullness of life, the fullness of being. In some translations of the New Testament, it's translated as abundant life. I want you to have abundant life. I want you to have the fullness of life, he said. And another thing, he was a master of manifestation, but he said, seek only the kingdom of heaven, which is the transcendent dimension within you, that is within you, and all the things that you need will be added onto you. Added on. This is exactly what I said a little earlier. Whatever it is, anything that you manifest is a byproduct of something deeper. It's not the ultimate thing. It's a byproduct of something deeper. So Jesus called it, seek only the kingdom of heaven, and all else will be added unto you. It's very profound. And then you can also have a playful attitude towards manifestation rather than a desperate need to make something happen. If you have a desperate need to make something happen, you're already sabotaging yourself through that. Manifestation needs to happen out of the fullness of being, rather than a sense of lack, that sense of neediness. That doesn't really work very well. Through sheer hard work and determination, yes, you could still achieve things, but you'll be very unhappy doing it. The action won't make you happy, and the end result won't make you happy. So that's not where we want to go. What is the point in achieving anything if on your way towards achieving it, you're in a continuous state of stress, and when you achieved it, it doesn't make you happy. You still feel there's something missing. So there's no point in any activity or endeavor if it induces stress within yourself. Any stress that arises while you're engaged in any activity is counterproductive. You would be sabotaging your manifestation practice. So stress. The moment stress arises, you're sabotaging yourself. You're making yourself unhappy, and everybody around you too. It's horrible. And there are many people who conduct their whole life like that, continuously in a state of stress. And you have nothing to do with true manifestation practice. So for manifestation to be powerful, we need to be aware that a very dangerous obstacle to successful manifestation is the arising of stress while you're engaged in any activity towards that desired goal. Is it stress? Are you stressed out? Oh, stop. That's not how to go about it. If you're not enjoying the activity, your manifestation cannot be powerful. You need to enjoy the doing of it. And you enjoy the doing by continuously being connected with the dimension of being while you do. And connected with that is excessive attachment to a result can be a great obstacle to manifestation. When you desperately want this particular thing to happen, but in the meantime, you disregard, if you're not stressed, but perhaps you're stressed too, and you disregard the present moment because you really want to arrive there already. So while you're engaged in this and that, it's regarded as not really important. You don't really want to be here because you haven't arrived at this thing that you want to achieve yet. But you're doing things with resistance, reluctance, don't really want to be doing it. All that is counterproductive. So we have to be really alert continuously. What is your state of consciousness in the present moment? So there needs to be an enjoyment of the doing towards but not an excess. You know what your goal is, but the doing is as important as the arriving. One could say more important, because everything is a journey. Your life is a continuous journey. The doing is more important than the arriving. Enjoy the doing, and even if you never arrive, at least you enjoyed the journey. Makes no difference because you're already connected with the essence of being. Whether or not that thing happens or not, whether or not you arrive or not is secondary. It doesn't really matter. It's really, the more you're connected with the essence of being, the more you can treat the activities and the world around you as a play. In India, they have the term Leela, the divine play, the play with you participate in this play of forms that come and go. And so you can treat your manifestation in a playful manner that is most powerful. In that way, yes, energy, yes, but also detachment from the outcome. You don't need the particular outcome anymore to enhance your sense of identity, which is the ego says, when I'm wealthy, then I will be somebody. When I'm wealthy, somebody will recognize me for who or what I am. I will get recognition. People will envy me, or ego stuff. And so that is, all these things are unhelpful and counterproductive. If you're looking for an identity in some particular outcome, it's not going to work, because nothing can give you, nothing external, no achievement or possession can actually show you your true identity. Your true identity is inseparable from the present moment, has nothing to do with any circumstances in your life. You have to become still, present, go within, and realize the beingness of you. You are. Ah. The rest is just the play of form. Einstein said, I want to know the mind of God. The rest is details. To me, what that means is, Einstein had a strong mystical part to him. The mind of God is that. The mind of God is the consciousness that you are. It emanates from it. It's an emanation of source, which is God. So the rest is just detail to it. Well, whatever you manifest is the details. It's fine. And adding on to, as Jesus said, and adding on to. So all these, not realizing that, they can all be obstacles in your manifestation practice and prevent you from manifesting. So especially remember stress, etc., excessive attachment to outcome. Another reason why manifestation may not be working for you is time scale. some things come very quickly. They can come in a matter of a day or two. Some things take weeks or months. In some depends what your manifestation is. In some cases, it can take years, 3, 4 years, and suddenly it's there, depending what it is. So also give it enough time. Do not, another thing, obsessively engaging in manifestation practices also is not helpful. Don't overdo it. There's a time when you do it and then you let go of it and just come back in the present moment. Do it and then you let go. There may be a time period when you practice intensively and then for a little while, for a few days or a week or 2 or 3, you leave it, except perhaps for little practices at the end of beginning and end of each day. So not overdoing it, intensity, yes, but not obsessively engaging in it. Another reason why it may not be working for you is, well, let's put it bluntly, you have a stupid goal, a totally unrealistic goal that you want to achieve. Of course, miracles are possible. Miracles do happen in this world. There's no doubt what we call miracles. However, there is such a thing as a totally unrealistic goal. And you need to know that. I could give countless examples. Let's say, if I could be deluding myself, okay, I'm very, very present. I can feel that presence and it's great, which means, okay, I'm going to become a great golf player. I'm going to play golf now, and I'm going to succeed because the presence is manifesting through me, and I become one of the greatest players of golf in the world. And then you start. Now the question is, are you practicing? How long have you been playing? How old are you? The body has something to do with it too. Are you enjoying it? Or do you just have this idea of you as the greatest golf player, but you're not even totally enjoying it? This could be anything. Golf could be substituted golf for anything. Are you practicing every day for 5 hours so that the vehicle is ready for presence to flow into it and use it? If the vehicle is not ready, presence cannot flow into it and use it, no matter how much time you spend with your manifestation practice. Is the vehicle ready? Could be anything. I want to be a great musician. Okay. Are you good at it? Well, you may not be good at it right now. That doesn't necessarily mean you cannot be a good musician, but do you enjoy playing? Yes. Do you play every day? Yes, I play every day for 15 minutes and I like it. Okay. The vehicle cannot be ready for presence to flow into it, empower it. You have to, a good musician practices every day for hours. But the question is, are you enjoying it? If you're not enjoying it, why do it? Are you only thinking of the desired outcome? When I reach this outcome, then I will enjoy it. This is not uncommon for dysfunctional thinking. You're not enjoying the journey towards it, but when you get it, then you'll be happy, you tell yourself. That brings me to an important point that's connected with that. You may have heard the impression, I think the impression is deferred gratification. So slash postponed satisfaction, postponed gratification, which uh, usually what it means is here's one person who is indulging in sensory pleasures and enjoying drinking and watching Netflix and hanging around and not hanging around with friends, whatever, just not pursuing any, just, and there's next door, there's another person, let's say it's a young man or woman, there's another person who is, wants to become go to university and study to become this or that, works every day, studies. So one person is continuous sensory gratification every moment in conventional terms. The other person is deferring gratification and saying, well, I need to work hard because I want to achieve there. And usually what you are told is deferred gratification actually is preferable to indulging in low-level sensory pleasures and enjoying in a low-level sensory enjoyment of this or that. So for a successful life, you're usually told you need to be practicing deferred gratification, postponed gratification or fulfillment. On the surface, this is very true, but I would suggest it's not the whole truth. It's also dangerous because if you continuously defer gratification, which means deferred gratification, you're not gratified in the moment, but you're hoping that you will be when you achieve your goal. But after practicing deferred gratification, postponed gratification for several years, it becomes a mind pattern within you. And even when you reach your goal, you won't be gratified because the mind pattern is you're always doing, because then there's a next goal that you need to achieve. It's not enough, now is the next one. So you're continuously deferring gratification, never finding gratification. So what you need to let go of inner resistance to what you're doing in the present moment so that you can enjoy the doing of it. Be aware of your inner state while you're engaged in your activity towards a particular goal, yes, but why not enjoy the doing while you're doing it instead of waiting, hoping that the enjoyment will come when you finally achieve your goal? Because it's most likely that the enjoyment will not last very long at all. So that's part of successful activity is, yes, I would not say delay gratification, no, learn how to be gratified, so to speak, in the present moment while engaged in the activity. So let's go back for a moment to unrealistic goals. You need to make sure that you enjoy the journey towards your goal. You also need to enjoy that you take appropriate action so that there's not just the affirmation that you use. There needs to be also appropriate action towards it. Then it becomes much more powerful. At the same time, if there's not appropriate action, it may still work depending what it is, or it may not. It's certainly usually more powerful as action behind it. So again, unrealistic goals are many. Make sure that your goal is not, whatever you want to achieve is not unrealistic. I gave the example of golf playing. I could say almost anything. If I can, at my age, there are many things that I can no longer do because of the age of the body. So no matter how many affirmations I use, 1,000 times a day, that I'm going to win a gold medal in the Paris Olympics that are coming up this summer in whatever capacity, it's not going to happen. I cannot think of any sport that this aging body would be good at and achieve a gold medal, no matter how. I'm giving an extremely absurd example, but it's easy to delude yourself. There used to be, I haven't watched cable television for a long time. There used to be this thing on television about American Idol, where people would come hoping to become famous. They had a talent. Later, other countries copied it. I think in England it was called Britain Has Got Talent or something like that. And so there be these people, they're all performing, given 2 or 3 minutes to do their performance. And sometimes you would say, some of these people are so deluded about their abilities that it's quite funny. They were so dreadfully bad and they thought they could be the greatest singer in the world, but they were just dreadfully bad. True. Yes, it's quite funny. Discrepancy between, why not do something that you might succeed in? Having said that, it's also true that sometimes people who seem very unlikely to be successful in one particular thing to prove to be successful. For them, there was this famous singer, I think Louis Armstrong, yeah, I believe it was his. He had this croaky, deep voice. I can't think of any songs, but he had this. Nobody would have thought that he could be a good singer. I mean, if he had gone to American Idol and done, please, your voice is not suitable to be a singer. But the miraculous thing is, despite the fact that in conventional terms, one would say his voice is not, there was an essence that moved into this voice that otherwise would not have been considered suitable, that was enormously powerful in his songs. So that can happen too. But that's an exceptional case. So at some point we'll talk more about these obstacles. I mentioned quite a few obstacles in your manifestation practice. All these things are, one learns after a while. If you make a few mistakes, you don't succeed, then you rectify. But really, I can't summarize it all, but the journey is the most important thing. It makes it important that the present moment becomes enjoyable, whatever it is. The present moment is the portal into the spiritual dimension. So never lose touch with the power of the present moment. And then that power can flow into whatever it is that you do. Then you achieve the balance between being and doing. And that is the skillful life, a life that is of service and brings harmony into this world, loving kindness. And so all this comes through you when you are in balance between being and doing. And then the power of being flows into what you do. And that is the power that is behind manifestation. I could go on for many hours, but I won't. So I believe we have explored quite a few interesting aspects of manifestation and deeper things that lie behind manifestation. And so it's now a question of, before we conclude, I invite you to right now, here, become aware of yourself, not of yourself as a person, but of yourself as the being behind the person. The presence. Nothing to do with your personal history, nothing to do with how old you are, nothing to do with your gender, nothing to do with your life history. The power of presence. The mind becomes still for a moment, but something remains. You can call it stillness, presence. And it's very simple. That's the essence of who or what you are. And once you have that, the rest is an adding on to, or as Einstein said, it's details. Or we can use the conventional expression, it's the icing on the cake. That's all.
Thank you so very much, Eckhart, for this session that covered so much ground. And I want to thank everyone for joining us, our studio Zoom room audience, all of you on YouTube and Facebook, and who joined us on the player page. And a special thank you to our friends at Eckhart Teachings. Also, as I mentioned earlier, this session is something of an introduction to the upcoming program, The Spiritual Guide to Conscious Manifestation. It's a 4-month immersion in the practice of conscious manifestation from a spiritual perspective that begins on May 30th with a 4-day online retreat. And you can visit eckharttolle.com for more information and to register. And again, I want to repeat that we have a generous scholarship program available. We want to make sure that all of the people worldwide who are interested in the spiritual guide to conscious manifestation can attend. So please come join us. Once again, Eckhart, thank you so much. And I hope to be with many of you as part of our 4-month online immersion program for Sounds True. Thank you. Thanks so much for being with us. Waking up the world together. Thank you. Thanks, Eckhart.
You.
Thank you.